Welcome to the Heart of a Viking. These art lessons are taught by Mrs. Minto from the Cape Henlopen School District in Delaware. I hope you have fun, create imaginative works of art, and make sure you share them with someone because, after all, the visual arts are meant to be seen.
Landscapes and value. What is a landscape? A landscape is a piece of artwork where land is the main subject. What is value in terms of color and art? Value refers to the lightness or the darkness of a color. For example, when describing the sky, we could say blue, or we could describe it more accurately and say the sky's dark blue above us and fades to a lighter blue at the horizon. Now let's combine landscape and value for our next project. This image shows what happens in real life. When we look at a landscape where objects are near and far, the value of the colors begin to change. The colors that are nearer to us are intense and bold. The colors that are far become lighter. So let's experiment. Let's experiment with drawing a landscape where the mountain ranges or land formations seem to go far into the distance. And we'll use color values to intensify that illusion, just like this picture.
Alrighty, so here we go. Step one for us is we're going to draw a line that represents some trees or like a forest that's right in front of us. So I'm just making a wiggly line that has some tall trees, has some lower trees. Really, there's no right or wrong way to do this. And I'm staying pretty close to the bottom, not going up too high at all. Then I'm going to take a black crayon. I prefer crayon for this one as opposed to marker. So I'm using a black crayon to trace over that line. Now I'm going to stick with the black crayon. I'm not going to use pencil, and I'm going to draw some hills or mountains. I almost said mills, a combination of mountains and hills. That's weird. Okay, so I'm drawing some hills or mountains that are in the background. The first one starts about 2 inches up from my trees on the right side and then diagonals down to the trees. The second one goes up a little bit high on the edge and then comes down and crashes into that mountain. And then the next one goes up a little bit higher and comes down and crashes into the second mountain. And then the third one goes back to this side, up a little higher, and comes down and crashes in. As long as you continue to go a little higher and come down and crash into the mountain that you just made, then you'll be perfect. And then you can decide when to stop, however high you think you need to go. I think I'm going to stop right here. That's good for me. Alright, so put that crayon aside, and now we're going to get out some paint. I like to use a paper plate for this, and since I'm only using 2 colors, I have a half of a paper plate here. You can use whatever you have at home to put some little puddles of paint on. And I have 2 colors, and I only want you to have 2 colors as well. I'd like for you to have white and one color that you think mountains or hills could be. I've chosen white and purple for mine, but white and blue or white and green or white and brown, all of those would be fine choices. Alright, so let's get ourselves organized a little bit. I just realized I forgot to put down some newspaper, so I'm going to put some newspaper underneath of my painting paper. And now, the hills that are right behind the trees are going to be the darkest. And then as they move back, they're going to be lighter and lighter and lighter. Those hills that are furthest back are going to be your lightest color. So I'm going to take a little bit of my purple and put it into my white and stir it up like I am mixing a pot of soup. Now, you want to be careful that you don't end up painting your entire plate. That's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to mix these together. So pretend like there's like a line around the edge of that white and you don't want to get out of the line. Now, I notice there's a lot gooped up on my paintbrush. So 2 ways you can fix that is you can like push the paintbrush down onto the plate and twist it, or you can scrape it on the edge. Either way, you want to be able to use that paint. And then once you have a nice light purple, I'd like for you to paint the furthest mountain that's the way in the back. The furthest one way in the back. All right, so now I'm going to be moving a little bit more of my dark purple over to the light purple. I want that light purple to get just a little bit darker. So I move a little bit at a time. If you realize that you needed some more, like you didn't add enough, then just go ahead and grab some more. It's okay if a little white gets left in your purple. You're going to use it to make a light purple anyways. So it's okay, just move over how much you think is perfect. So your goal here is to get this color to be just a little bit more purpley than the last color that you made. So to do that, I often paint a little bit on my space here and compare them. Oh, sorry, the sun just came into my classroom windows. That's why the painting brightened up. It'll go back down to normal hopefully soon. Okay, so now I'm using that darker purple that I made and I am painting that second furthest hill back. And then, as you may have guessed, you're going to continue to repeat this on the next hill. So here comes my paint again. I'm adding some more of the dark purple, stirring that up, mixing it up, and painting this space. Now, I'm going to do something a little different with this space. Because we are getting closer, not only would the colors start to begin to get darker, but it would also begin to show some texture. So I'm going to show you at least 3 different ways to add texture here. The way that I'm doing it right now is just a tapping technique. So while all of that paint is still wet, I can tap my paintbrush up and down on it, creating a lumpier texture, and it'll actually dry like that. So that was pretty cool. Now I'm going to go ahead and move to my next row of hills, add some more purple to my white over here. It's definitely getting much darker. I can see on all of them. All right, so here's another technique. Now I'm gonna flip my paintbrush over, use the tip of the handle end to scratch away some of the paint. Obviously, I don't wanna scratch away all of it. I wanna see this darker purple because that's the whole reason I'm making this project, is to show those different colors. However, I can use the end of the paintbrush to scratch away and make a texture. All right, on to my last space. I want this to be the darkest of all of the purples. So I'm going to scoop up the rest of that. Might as well use it up, right? Because I'm not gonna need it anymore after this. And mix it into my white to definitely get a darker purple than I had last time. And now this time I'm going to use the end of my paintbrush again, but I'm going to create little tiny lines or little slashes with my paintbrush. This is called hatching, when you make little lines like this. And when the lines cross each other like mine are, it's called cross hatching. So I'm creating a little cross hatching texture on this one. All right, so now that we're done, I have some extra paint left over here. I could make a whole nother painting if I wanted to, but for right now, I'm just gonna go ahead and clean up. I'm gonna fold that so the messy bit's on the inside and go ahead and throw it away and wash my paintbrush. So remember, this was only part 1 of our project. So we need to let this paint dry, and then next week we'll come back and we will add some extra details using crayons to the trees that are in the front, that forest, plus the sky that's in the background, and then we'll fix up some of the black lines that might have gotten covered with paint too. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you enjoyed creating value with paint. It is literally one of my favorite things to do in art, is to create value. So I was so excited to share this with you today, and I can't wait to see you back here next week to finish this up here at the Heart of a Viking.